Oh, the mic's working? Okay. Okay, Mr. Seamus, presentation?
We have two wonderful members of our ASB with us tonight to share a presentation about life at Lammersville Elementary this year. And they've been working hard with Miss Ripkin, our ASB teacher, and we would like to thank them for all their hard work.
Hi, my name is Kayla Jaramillo, and I am in 5th grade. This is
Taylor Burton. I am also in 5th grade, and we are both leaders in ASB.
Every morning we meet as a school for announcements, birthdays, roar of approvals, and the principal's message.
Leadership Day. 17 student leaders from 5th through 8th grades attended this fun day of learning to become a better leader at Mountain House High School.
We learned to become better leaders and played a lot of group games with students from other schools. We played the games to learn and trust others and how to work together.
Our theme for the parade was Inside Out. ASB all worked together to build our float and build the characters.
Relay Recess was a fun and active walk. This day we wore pink to support breast cancer awareness.
Red Ribbon Week. We celebrated with dress days, giveaways, and different activities. One activity was Plant the Promise. Each student planted a red tulip bulb with the promise of being drug-free. In the spring, our promise will bloom. Also, we tie red ribbons to poles in front of office while learning about why we celebrate this week.
In November, our 6th graders had a blast at science camp to help raise monies for students to attend camp. We held cow bingo to play. We sold plots, and all were sold. We released the cows. Where the cow relieved itself on the plot, then the spot won.
Just have to know, that is not something that just every community gets. Cow bingo is, cow bingo is an amazing experience. If you've never seen it, you need to. It's awesome. Love cow bingo.
In 2nd grade, they are working on world maps and learning about different cultures.
Miss Gaffiti's class are doing Miss Gaffiti's class are doing a PE on many rainy days. Thanks, El Nino.
6th through 8th grade, during their electives time, are learning many different things. In Miss Hallam's class, they are working on many robots. In Mr. Gatehouse class has cleaned the garden area. They are growing different vegetables and herbs. Other classes get to now work in our wonderful garden for science class.
The school is having a blast learning about new and past music. We had a winter concert with the entire school in December. It was a wonderful night.
Before we left for the holidays, we had some fun dress days. Ugly sweater, Santa hats, and pajama day. LSF opened their yearly Santa's store to buy gifts for our families and friends.
LSF is supporting an artist to come to all classes for several weeks. We have worked with paint, chalk, and pastels to create our art.
In January, the basketball season begins for 5th through 6th boys, 7th through 8th girls, and 7th through 8th boys teams. ASB is planning a basketball spirit rally for February 3rd. LES Science Fair Night is February 10th. ASB is selling Valentine grams in February. These are a note and a stencil attached. Kindness Week is February 9th through 12th. In March, LSF is having their dinner auction night March 5th.
April, ASP testing, get ready to test rally. May 4th, dress Star Wars. May the 4th be with you. We also have field day, open house, family science night, kindergarten through 8th promotions, and of course the last day of school. Thank you for giving us a chance to tell you about our wonderful nugget of a school.
Again, I'd like to thank you, Governing Board and Dr. Nicholas, for the opportunity to share some of the happenings at our school. And I'd also like to thank Miss Anna Ripkin, who's done a wonderful job working with our students in leadership, and all of our leadership students and parents for their support. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank
you
you
did a great
very
job.
much. Thanks is all on this side of the dais. Every week, every time we have a meeting and we hear the kids come and talk to us about what's going on, it helps me remember why we're up here. All the other stuff that's going on out around there, all the other good stuff, bad stuff, whatever it might be, it brings me back to why I'm sitting up here twice a month, is to help make sure that those girls, that those kids, that all the schools are getting what they need to get and are doing what they need to do. And I really appreciate it. And next time you play Cow Bingo, please tell me.
Yes. Thank you, ladies. Very well done. Brings us to item B, AMC 8 Math Competition Award.
So we had a number of students earn medals that are sitting right up here. I'd like to have Director Heather Scherberg come up and help us with honoring their excellent performance.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to share with you that on November 17th, we had 7th and 8th graders, 38 of them to be told, from Lammersville Unified, take place in the 8th grade American Mathematics competition. This is a national contest that's a predecessor to the high school competition that'll be taking place in February later on, coming up. These contests are taken without the use of any technology to foster their problem solving and math skill ability. Students who perform at the highest levels on the high school team can earn scholarship opportunities from this competition, as well as invitations to be part of the United States mathematics team. So tonight we're going to meet all the students that tried the exam and pay some extra special recognition to those who earned some medals. For that, I'm going to ask Mr. Gervas to come up, who coordinated this for us, and he will read the certificates. And students, when you hear your names, if you'll walk please around the back, you can see Mrs. Cook there in the back, and she's going to have you go around to the side over here and come up to the podium, since we have quite a number of you, where you'll receive your certificate. And if you've earned a medal, you'll receive your medal.
Okay, we'll start with the students that participated in their won a certificate, and then we'll get to the medal winners at the very end. All right, first student is Katrina Amistad. Our next student is Isaac Anchanatu. Madison Banks. Andrew Buena. Annalise Knaff. Nikki Chun. Irene Chi. Balrit Dul. Matthew Ewan. Margaret Fontenot. Tessa Gervas. Pakrit Gol. Leo Greenewalt. Sukjan Gruel. Ifesanachi Ikachiyuku. Rachel Kavlakat. Ivan Kwok. Jaden Lewis. Kristen McNillan. John Misal. Sana Mohammed. Interpret Mushiana. Chinmay Mutiala. Terrence Jen. Claire Pace. Zachary Rabancho. Julian Stacruz. Ashley Teal. Milani Ulep. Aditi Varma. All right, so our next three contestants will be all tied for the third place score, and they'll all be earning the bronze medal. Our first bronze medal is Elise Lowe. Our second bronze medal winner is Bernice Lozada. And our third bronze medal winner is Ohas Nain. All right, the next three contestants all tied for second place, and this will all receive a silver medal. Karen Bogomolny. Rashan Ramesh. And Sneha Thokadan. All right, and lastly, our student with the highest score in our district by just one question more than everybody else. Please congratulate Arthur Reyes. Okay, we'd like to invite everybody that want a certificate or a medal to come back up in front here, and we'll get a picture. Thank you very much.
Maybe we can put the medal earners up front. Second row. Okay. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay, get it? All right.
Ben, your robocaller is calling during the board meeting.
Sorry. 7 o'clock, that's when I send it out. Curriculum fair tomorrow.
Oh, it's,
Shane?
yeah, I think it's this project that they're going to talk about in a second. It's an ag-based project.
Oh, so it's coming up.
It's coming up with employee recognition.
Do I? Oh, yeah. I just thought it was dinner. I'm like, you should at least pick it up. There's a bad flu going around, and if you don't want to believe me, come visit my one too.
You call me. Actually, it might have called me earlier.
We got next employee recognition.
Yeah, no, it's 8th grade. Oh, I don't know. Got a while.
It's stuffy in here. You can put 100 people in here. Or more.
Okay, thank you. Approval and/or corrections to the agenda?
There are none.
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is employee recognition. Dr. Nicholas.
Yeah, so we'd like to honor 2 teachers that are sitting in the back and have them come up here in a second. And they have some youngsters here they're going to show off. But I got an email about a really amazing project that was done and led by Nicole Kangas, who's a 3rd grade teacher at Bethany, and Deborah Ritchie, who's a 3rd grade teacher at Altamont. It's really the personification of project-based experiential learning with a little twist of philanthropy. There's a word coming out there. Philanthropy. But it's a really amazing thing, and the more that we are able to do this and acknowledge this, the more people are going to pick up ideas like this. But this is really an excellent project. So we'd like to start with Deborah Ritchie and Nicole Kangas coming up to get a certificate of appreciation, and then they can share their youngsters. We'll let the Giants fan go first.
As we should.
I could just reach out. Yeah, there we go.
Didn't know we were doing more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for working with our students.
Short people. All right, good evening. The honor actually really goes to our hardworking 3rd grade teachers in the district and to our students who really took this unit very seriously and did all of the fundraising themselves. So to start with that, with the shift in Common Core state standards, 3rd graders are expected to learn how to use addition and subtraction to solve multi-step problems that include monetary value. So we're working with money, we're doing a lot of rounding, we're working with place value. Last year, Nicole Kangas and Faith Offman made learning these concepts and skills more entertaining to the students when they introduced Heifer International. Heifer International is a corporation that focuses on sustainable farming in 3rd world countries. They also provide to families in America, too, that may be struggling, that need that extra help. Their mission is to end hunger and poverty while caring for the earth. The families that live in these locations are more focused on giving and receiving of plants and animals to survive. Heifer International raises money to buy these families animals and plants, as well as hire experts to teach them how to farm. When one family has chickens, they can trade with another family for a goat or for farming expertise. Heifer's belief that it's better to follow the proverb, teach a man how to fish, he knows how to sustain his life, for a lifetime, to ensure these families and communities can provide for themselves throughout their lives and their children and so on.
So with that, the students were able to get on their Chromebooks and research Heifer International themselves. And when the students learned the motto about teaching a man how to fish versus giving him the fish, they got more excited about it. And we actually relate that in our class, or my classroom, as to how to teach others how to do something in class as well. Like, don't give them the answer, teach them, right? So they got excited about it, and then they got really excited when teachers across the district said, hey, we're going to go ahead and purchase some animals and plants and things that these families need around the world to live. And so we asked students just to donate what they could with parent permission. Pennies, dollars, anything that they wanted to. And so as we progressed through the weeks, every day they would bring in more money and we would have them count it. So it was really like tactile monetary value, you know. And teachers would then take that new amount and add it to a Google shared Excel spreadsheet document thing. And I don't know what to call those things anymore. Google Sheets. Sorry. Google Press. There's too many. So when she raised money, or Tammy Hurst raised money in her class, the second they entered it in, I had that information over in my classroom, or the 3rd grade classroom had it in Lammersville. You know, we all had it all at once. So every morning we would have daily warm-ups with these real numbers that actually meant something to these kids. They were able to say, hey, as a whole, Bethany, these 4 teachers using addition have this much money. Or they were able to compare, hey, Miss Hurst has a lot of money, which she always somehow does, and this is the difference between her amount and our amount, and so on. So they were practicing those math skills that come along with our new standards, using this real money. In the end, they raised $1,675. Yes, and which they were really excited about. And then they took that amount, and we said, okay, now you get to decide what to buy within this budget, which these days kids need to learn how to live within a budget. And they all decided what they wanted to buy. But with that, we do have like a couple hundred third grade students in this district, and we had a couple hundred different opinions. So the teachers led the students to persuade the third grade teaching team as to what to buy. And the teachers gave the students different avenues to do this, being Google Slides, or writing a persuasive letter, or making a diorama, or a poster, anything that they wanted. But in the end, they had to go back to the website, Heifer International's website, and use supportive text to back up their opinion. And that's where I think it became more cross-curricular, bringing in the language arts or art, right, with that math. So here tonight, to show you some of those fun examples, Mrs. Tammy Hurst from Altamont Elementary has brought two of her lovely students to share some examples of their projects.
That is awesome. I love it.
Okay, so I expanded on the unit just a little bit because I like to do some application at home. And so I assigned the students to come up with a 3D model of an animal that they would like to be on the list for heifer. They had to present it to the class, and it's fun to have that little buddy with them to kind of get out the nerves and things like that so they can present. So I'm going to have Haley here present her model of
Hello, my name is Haley. I'm going to present my heifer project today. I chose a rabbit for my project. Rabbits can provide nutrient-rich fertilizer. Rabbits cost $60. They can be sent to China, Bolivia, Haiti, and many other places. Rabbits should be fed and have shelter in order for them to live. They have a high breathing rate so they can have many babies. When the babies are trained and they grow older, the family can sell the babies. The rabbit's fertilizer helps crops grow. When it grows, people can sell or eat the crops. Then the family won't be hungry anymore. With the money, they can buy a house or something else they need. My animal can change a family's life. Can yours too? Thank you for letting me share.
So with the model, by having that application, it not only inspires them to learn, but it makes that family connection. So they get to do research at home, and they get to talk about the experience, and who knows, maybe they get to convince their families to participate in the Heifer International program. Now here's Nathan, and he created a Google slideshow, and this was great because they all collaborated ahead of time as a group and made their wish list. And then, okay, right there. So you're gonna click the slides here. Okay. And then each individual student made their own slideshow to convince everybody their wish list. And they had to use the current value, which was $1,300 and
$1,390.
$1,390 at the time we made the slideshow. And the collaboration about technology was rampant in the classroom. This is how you put a picture on the slide, a bunch of different ways. So they got to share their strategies with each other. And so it was a great learning opportunity for me as well.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Nathan, and I'm going to share my Heifer International Google presentation. Wish list 1 for the first item. Clean water costs $300. This provides clean water to drink. $300 is less than $1,390. I chose this because some families don't get to have clean water for days. Wish list 2 for the second item. Irrigation pumps are $150. I chose this because it allows people not to walk for miles just to get water. $150 is less than $1,390. Wish list 3 for the third item. Gift of a healthy home is $50. This allows them to have a better living condition by providing roofing materials, bricks, concrete, and more. $50 is less than $1,390. Wish list 4 for the fourth item. Bountiful Harvest Gift Basket. This gift is $72. It gives farmers a lot of fresh produce. $72 is less than $1,390. Wish list 5 for the fifth item. A water buffalo is $250. I chose this because it gives people milk, cheese, and allows farmers to plow 4 times more rice and crops than by hand. $250 is less than $1,390. Wish list 6 for the sixth item. Fish fingerlings are $300. I chose this because it gives you a lot of protein, vitamin C, and vitamin A. That is good for you. $300 is less than $1,390. Wish list 7 for the seventh item. A community animal worker kit is really helpful because if an animal gets a disease, the kit can help the animal. It is $200. $200 is less than $1,390. Wish list 8 for the eighth item. Honeybees are really helpful because they give you honey. They only sting if they are female. They are $30. That is why I chose them. $30 is less than $1,390. Wish list 9 for the ninth item. A flock of geese is $20. I wanted this because they are so cheap. They also give you eggs. You can sell them for money. $20 is less than $1,390. Wish list 10 for the 10th item. Goats are $120. They are very helpful. They are helpful because they give you milk. That is why I chose them. $120 is less than $1,390. My total amount. 300 plus 150 plus 50 plus 72 plus 250 plus 300 plus 200 plus 30 plus 20 plus 120 equals $1,390. Thank you for letting me share my Heifer International Google presentation.
So at the end of the unit, with the guidance of our students' projects and persuasive essays and posters and Google slides, we were able to purchase the Joy to the World basket, which Heifer International sends us a catalog of the different things we can buy. In the Joy to the World basket, it included 2 sheep, 4 goats, 1 heifer, and 2 llamas. These resources, as well as the remaining $175, will be used by, which will be used by Heifer International where needed, will allow a family to improve their nutrition and income to build a better life. Through this unit, our 3rd grade students in Lammersville Unified were able to not only learn math concepts, but through a real-world problem, they were able to help others in need. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation, and thank you for all the work. This is definitely 21st century learning, and this is great stuff. So thank you again. Appreciate all the work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Students, thank you very much for your presentations as well. You guys can head out if you would like. Thank you for being here tonight. Mom and Dad, thank you guys.
Yes. It's an awesome bunny rabbit.
We're good? Okay. Next item is committee reports. Item A, facility use.
We had our first meeting of the year last week. I'll start by reporting that I appreciate that both of the community members agreed to once again serve for another year. So to Mr. Strock and to Mrs. Smith-Payne, the committee appreciates your continued assistance with the district. It was a fairly light meeting, but we did discuss a couple of items that need to come back before the committee. One started by me and shared, I think, by this board is the continued expenditure of funds by the district in form of payment of staff members spending over 4 hours a day dealing with just facilities and facilities use requests, whether they be internal or external. We haven't been able to divide that yet, but it just provides a concern as a board member, the district expenditure of those funds to try to find some options or alternatives. And then also brought up by a couple of members of the committee, the committee would like to review the current policy as it relates to the high school track, and we plan to invite both the principal and the athletics director from the high school to the next committee meeting to discuss that issue. And the next meeting is scheduled for...
It's on the calendar here.
I think it's on the calendar here, yeah.
February 16th, Tuesday.
So we invite the public to come and share their comments on both issues. And that's, I don't think I missed anything, Mr. Pombo?
Sounded complete.
So, and thank you to Mr. Pombo as well.
And my sincere thanks to the committee, because I know how hard it is. Item B, District Advisory Committee, and no report on that yet. Item C, District English Language Advisory Committee.
The meeting is next week.
Thank you. Item D, Gate Arts Music.
Haven't met yet.
Yeah, we have one coming up though, right?
I didn't get a date.
No? Okay. February 9th?
February
Yeah.
9th. Thank you. February 9th.
Just got announced or got set up, I think, last week.
Item E, Safety and Crisis Response. We had a committee meeting today, so thank you to all the staff members and Kush for being there today. Very good. We did a tabletop exercise and are planning for our large-scale drill to practice or test our emergency procedures, which is going to be on March 16th. So we have the date. We're kind of drilling down the scenario, but we have input from both law enforcement and the fire department. Both were present at the meeting and are helping us plan, and we'll be there on the day of. So more to follow on that. Item F, Wellness.
Before I get to the wellness, I just wanted to add a tidbit to Director Nielsen's report on facilities use. It was brought up that on a recent Saturday, there were 7 separate events going on at the high school, and our staff was able to pull it off without a hitch.
Forgot about that part.
But that just goes to show what enormous pressure there is on our facilities to provide facilities for the community.
Thank you, Mr. Pombo.
Wellness Committee, I missed our first Wellness Committee meeting of the year, I'm sad to say, but I had other commitments. And although I didn't make it to the meeting, I did review the notes from the meetings, and Caught Eating Well continues to be successful at all our campuses. Fuel Up in Place 60 is being tried at several campuses. The upcoming Relay for Life, or Relay Recess, is slated for March 4th, and that was discussed. We also have a farmer's market being planned for the week of March 21st. And also discussed was the district health fair that will run simultaneously with the district recruitment fair, and those will both be on February 20th, I believe. And our next committee meeting is February 10th.
Great, thank you very much. Governing board reports.
I do not have a board report today.
Oh, okay, very good, thank you. Trustee Clemens?
My only board report is that I'm looking forward to judging the HOSA Science Fair tomorrow, although I'm a little bit nervous because I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing.
My understanding is we'll be given a rubric when we get there, so it'll
Better you than me. Science fair.
Okay. Trustee Pombo?
I went to the Mountain House High School Band Awards dinner recently, and it was very well attended. The multipurpose room at the high school was near capacity for the event. I am very proud to announce that my son Drew won one of two director awards at that event, so I'm very proud of that. I also attended my first facilities committee meeting. It was a short meeting, and we heard about it already. As I mentioned, I missed the wellness committee meeting, and upcoming events, the Mountain House High School Sports Boosters are having a crab feed on Saturday, March 30th. If anybody needs tickets, you can let me know, and I will direct you how to get them. Also, the Lammersville Auction Dinner Dance is coming up March 5th. That's also a Saturday, and if you need tickets, let me know. I know where to get them. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Lempel?
I attended bingo, which was not well attended, which made it easy to win. So that was great. And also for VAPA, for the Visual and Performing Arts Boosters, their flea market. Boy, those people have spirit. It was freezing out there. But they were still selling frozen yogurt. So that's a small group of parents running that VAPA group, and they are amazing. They are so dedicated. I was pleased to receive the approval from the county, a letter that our first interim budget was approved. So thank you for your hard work, Alvina.
Thank you very much, Alvina.
I'd also like to say that we are all pleased that negotiations have been settled with the teachers. While some morale issues remain, this will only improve with efforts from both parties. The first step in this process will be to concentrate on positives and ask questions about the improvables. The answers to the questions need to concentrate on changes and next steps. It's imperative as we begin the second half of our school year for the district and employees to make these efforts a priority. Without that reciprocal effort and concentrated and concerted respect, nothing will change. But I know it will, because I know there's desire on both sides to improve morale and to get back to where we were at one point.
Thank you. Trustee Nielsen?
Typically, I don't comment on the things that I attend at Wickland because it's rather self-serving. I'm going to go watch my daughter play basketball. But I wanted to comment this time for a simple reason. There's not a whole lot of sports in the district, but I'm not sure what options or opportunities we have. But at the game that I attended yesterday, the poor girls at Cuesta had a 5, 6, 7, 8 combo team of 8 girls go against 15 7th and 8th grade girls. And at the end of the game, the score was a little lopsided, but I watched a couple of girls walk off the court smiling. And I heard one girl turn to her parents and say, "I had so much fun." And I'm like, did you enjoy the game? Did you have fun? She said, "Yes." They scored 6 points. And she had fun. And I go back to, if it's about competition, if it's about all that stuff, this is the wrong time. This is the wrong place. The K-8 schools, to watch those kids, to hear them, to hear that young girl say she had fun playing a basketball game where her team only scored 3 buckets was just amazing. And I'm hoping we can find a way to continue to add to the programs that we provide, with the caveat and the reminder that resources are a finite item. Later on, we're going to have a discussion about this a little bit more, but I just want to remind folks, I want to try to find every opportunity we can to add to the additional programs that we offer, not just in sports, but in art and in music. But the solutions to those things have to be as cost neutral as possible. So for those folks who are interested, I would love to see more sports. And if you're interested in more sports, let's find a way to do it, whether it's soccer. We've got volleyball and basketball, whether it's baseball, whether it's flag football, whether it's lacrosse, whatever we can do that we can find a way to get the kids in the K-8 schools. I think we need to find more opportunities for physical education, even if it is extracurricular for our students. And I'm hoping we can find parents and volunteers to try to come forward and assist with that. And that'll be my report.
Thank you. I'll be judging HOSA projects tomorrow along with Trustee Clements, so I'm looking forward to that. And then next weekend, I'm going to Sacramento Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the CSBA Board of Directors meeting. We have legislative committee on Friday morning at 8, and then the rest of the time will be board meeting and talking about preparing for the upcoming Legislative Action Day, which is March 15th. If any of you are available to attend, they're looking for board members. If not, that's fine. I will be there, and I will bring back contact information so we can kind of reach out to our legislators and pass on the information we have. I know that LCFF has not been good to our district, and I want to make sure that our legislators are well aware of that and how it affects a district like ours. So that's my report. Receiving a public comment, I have a couple speaker cards here. If there's anything that's not currently on the agenda that you'd like to speak on, please submit a speaker card and we'll get you up here. If there's something on the agenda, we can have you during the item. Jim Lamb. All right, Heather Lamb.
Yeah, you have them both, but we didn't indicate which one we wanted to have speak first. Members of the board and Superintendent Nicholas, President Balsarini. My husband Jim and I have made the decision to pull our children from Lammersville Unified School District. As you can imagine, this decision was not made lightly or for ideological reasons. We assumed when we moved here that our kids would complete school entirely within this district. We never considered homeschooling up until this year when things started to go very wrong. To remind you of our situation, our son James is in 7th grade and is enrolled in Integrated Math 1 with the high school curriculum. Towards the end of September, Jim brought your attention an issue with our son's math class. The teacher had chosen to disregard the integrated math pathway because he wasn't comfortable with the online curriculum and instead chose to go back to a traditional math curriculum of Algebra 1. The Wickland principal followed up the very next day, and for a time it really looked like the issue had been addressed as the teacher started the kids back on the integrated program. Unfortunately, that teacher left the district a few weeks later to be a stay-at-home grandfather, or something along those lines. At this point, the class was approximately 2 weeks behind in the curriculum for the Integrated Math 1 course. And you might ask how I know. Well, I'm a credentialed math teacher. I have integrated curriculum at my house, so I know exactly the path it should go. And I know the pathway from being on Canvas and blended schools. A long-term substitute teacher took over the class, and for approximately 6 weeks, the students didn't make any progress whatsoever towards the course curriculum. The prior teacher had left with 5 outstanding assignments ungraded in Aries, and the long-term sub provided no information about how the students were or were not progressing in the class. It wasn't until the day after the trimester closed that the 5 old assignments were updated with grades, and the long-term sub entered her 2 grades for 6 weeks of work. This made it more or less impossible to track our son's progress throughout the trimester. At this point, I estimate the kids in the class were at least 6 or 7 weeks behind in the curriculum for Integrated Math 1. We met with Dr. Nicholas and we discussed the possibility of an independent study or a homeschool tutor program for our son. He informed us that as a teacher with an intern credential had been hired to take on the class, but he was uncertain when the teacher would begin. as he was still getting processed through the county. Dr. Nicholas urged us to be patient and give things a chance. He thought the teacher would start in a week or two. So we waited. The new teacher started 3 weeks later and informed the kids that he was going to start from the beginning of the curriculum because he needed to determine what the students knew and didn't know. We weren't made aware of that setback until a few days before winter break. He also informed the students the day before winter break that the students would have a long-term sub again when they returned from winter break. The students had no idea how long. Additionally, this new teacher was not comfortable with the Canvas learning environment, and our son frequently came home frustrated because his assignments kept getting reset, so his grade was never accurate. When progress reports were sent home, our son was one of a handful of kids with a passing grade. However, that changed 5 days into break as all his assignments were reset and his grade dropped drastically. Every time his grade was reset, our son was unable to move forward in the course because the system requires all prior assignments be completed. Vice Principal Quintana sent an email the second day we returned from break to let parents know that updated progress reports would be sent home to those students in that class with this teacher due to the issues. I'm going to let Jim continue from there.
Thank you. We just discovered our timer's not working, so.
I just started mine on 2 minutes.
Yeah, so you'll have 3 minutes. Absolutely, no, you go ahead, you just have your 3 minutes, just
finish.
However long you went.
When the new teacher took over, we were approximately 15 weeks into the year. By winter break, we were approximately 18 weeks into the school year, and the students had completed less than 6 weeks of curriculum for the class. The teacher had not taught any new material in the first 3 weeks, so the students were just falling further behind. The straw that broke the camel's back was when we found out that our son was being required to do 1/2 hour of compass learning each day in class, and that he would receive a grade for this work. We asked our son to show us an example of what that entailed. We were mortified with the quality of the educational value of this application, and to think that 2.5 hours a week would be spent on a class on a computer based on a program while a credentialed trained teacher stood by. To make matters worse, the kids were doing their compass learning during their language arts class, but given the option to work on either math or English. Our son, who prefers math, spent his English compass learning time doing mostly math at the 7th grade level, even though he's enrolled in high school math. Aside from the complete waste of time, he was losing out on much-needed educational minutes in language arts. In our opinion, the compass learning system is complete and appropriate for 7th grade kids. The concepts are presented in a way that we might feel is appropriate for a 3rd grader. Having 7th graders endure this system must be staggeringly boring. We strongly recommend that the board review and take some time to have the system demonstrated with the hope that use will be significantly curtailed or eliminated. Heather and I felt that the only viable option to get our child back on track was to take matters into our own hands and homeschool the kids. There are simply too many issues to resolve and not enough time. There was more than this, but this is what we focused on for our statement tonight. To be fair, our 5th grader was doing very well at Wickland. Our decision to withdraw him from the district had more to do with sibling rivalry and time management than academic concerns. We would like the opportunity to meet with each board member privately. We only brought forward a few issues that caused us to pull the kids from the district. But there are other issues we'd like to make you aware of, but feel they're inappropriate for public comments, nor is there enough time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Lynette Hapgood. Okay. And again, is the timer working now or no?
It says 3 minutes.
Is it? Okay.
Oh, it's working. Okay, perfect. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you tonight. I had put down my organization name as SOMOHO, so I know that we had come before you and Colin had made a request on behalf of our nonprofit, which is Service Organization of Mountain House. So I'm just going to use 3 minutes to talk a little bit about that. You have several committees on here which focus on things that our nonprofit is also focusing on. We have a vision. You can look us up on Facebook. We also have a website. Sorry, you can link those. We're trying to gain a little bit of momentum. We had asked to come before your board and present what it is we'd hope to do because we were looking for a partnership with people who share our interests. The members of our board, our president is Corey Strock, I'm the vice president, are very good at fundraising. We are very good at meeting obligations to the community, and we are very good at being in tune with what we think our children want. So looking at your Gate Arts and Music, We have a lot of focus on that as well. We would like to get children out to plays because most of our kids only go because it's important to us. We had exposure, we want to continue that. So we want to get them in a bus, get them out, and have them see something that they wouldn't normally see. Not on TV, not on a Chromebook. How about at the Nutcracker, right? With other children performing it, like Steph Nielsen's children, who's also on our board. So that's one of our visions. And we'd like to do that for children, once again, who don't have those opportunities, not because they don't have the money, but maybe just because the parents don't know. As far as other committees you have listed here, we're interested in wellness as well, and the DAC. So we are looking at the STEAM program, which I'm sure you're all aware of, and we're hoping to get some of those initiatives going. We have partnered with Vicki Beckman, and her husband is an engineer. Her husband is an engineer locally in Livermore. So we are gaining our resources. We are asking people who have these competent skills and knowledge to come in, donate their time. We will support them with funds and allow these programs to be volunteer-based, parent engagement, bring your children, learn with them. That's how we figure out what our kids are good at, right? They want to be an engineer because they like Legos. So hopefully maybe they'll want to dance because they see art. Maybe they'll want to make it. If you would like to learn more about us, we invite you once again, check us out. We are hoping to come back and actually do a presentation and show you what we've been up to. Oh, and we also have little libraries, which is my favorite thing that we're up to. So we're going to be planting those around the community in front of people's homes, essentially. They're little libraries. They look like birdhouses, and we're going to keep those fully stocked with all kinds of books for kids who can just walk by, take one, put it back. And that's great for us, especially on 3-day weekends or if the library's not accessible because we don't have staff, or if they don't have a library card or they're just out walking and maybe they're bored. So grab a book, take it home, bring it back and get another one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for
Thank
comments.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item is presentations, curriculum and instruction update by Mrs. Sherburne.
Have the Ed Services team come up and give an update, kind of where we're at in the big picture and with some specifics moving forward.
Good evening again. It's my pleasure to be here tonight to share with you all the work that we've been doing to support our goal of college and career readiness, the state of California requirement. Across the country, education as a whole has been undergoing historic and unprecedented levels of change with the implementation of the Common Core state standards in both English language arts and math, the new California state frameworks, which I need a crane to lift up, and these are printed double-sided. And the new state testing that we have with CASP going on. I believe most of us would agree that with change, even when it's positive, comes anxiety and challenges and a lot of just outright hard work. Across the country as a whole, and certainly across California and right here in Mountain House with Lammersville, we're making great strides in addressing our shifts to the 21st century education and college and career-ready students. But what does that mean? How does it look in our classrooms? Where are we headed as we move from the infancy of this implementation to a fully developed, comprehensive, and integrated program? So that's what we're going to share tonight. In a nutshell, we've started with the end in mind, college and career-ready students. And we are preparing students for careers and jobs that have not yet even been developed. 21st century students need skills that will allow them to successfully adapt to an evolving future. They need strong communication skills interpersonally and digitally, the ability to think critically as ongoing consumers of knowledge, the ability to collaborate in all areas of their life, to be informed, engaged, and tech-savvy citizens, and who have the creativity to solve the problems of the future. We refer to these as the 5 C's: collaboration, communication, critical thinking, creativity, and citizenship. This is a huge shift from the emphasis on specific item-based content knowledge of the state standards in the past. Globally, these shifts, regardless of if we're thinking of English language arts or mathematics or the next generation science standards or anything else, They all boil down to a nexus of preparing students to be exceptional meaning makers and meaning communicators. 21st century students require 21st century classrooms. Classrooms with a blend of traditional and technology-embedded, research-based instructional tools, curriculum and strategies that embrace and infuse the 21st century skills mentioned earlier into everything that we do. And in order to effectively reach this goal, we must provide 21st century professional development to teachers. The construct of teaching and learning has never been more dynamic and fluid than it is right now. We must continue to grow in our knowledge and practice to keep pace with the changes of the world in which our children will live. So this is our big picture, but what I know that you're all most interested in is the particulars for right here in Lammersville Unified. So our coordinators, Jenna Cook and Brian Gervas, are going to take over now and walk you through the work that we're doing on our specific journey in bringing our vision to full fruition.
Thank you, Heather. My name is Jenna Cook, and I am one of 2 coordinators of instruction and technology integration. Prior to my employment in this new position, I had the privilege of teaching 5th grade at Bethany Elementary for 8 years. I now have the pleasure of coordinating and supporting RCD units of study, providing coaching and support for predominantly TK through 6th grade teachers, as well as assisting ongoing instructional shifts within LUSD.
And I'm Brian Gervas. I come from 19 years of teaching high school mathematics. Most recently, I was the math department chair last year at Mountain House High School, and this year I'm also with Jenna, one of the coordinators of instruction and technology. And I spend most of my day really looking at our classrooms and some of the great products that are available, and trying to put together a vision for what this looks like in our classrooms and how we can support these teachers on a daily basis.
So a core element of Lammersville Unified School District strategic plan is to focus on the skills and conceptual tools that are critical for 21st century learners, including the 5 C's mentioned by Heather. The 5 C's embody mindsets that are critical for our students to successfully participate in the contemporary and evolving workplace. The goal is to incorporate these into all learning experiences within the district, across grade levels, subjects, and other school experiences. These 5 C's are at the forefront in LUSD and help guide the direction and composition of what goes on in the classroom.
And 21st century skills come from classrooms that are prepared for the 21st century. And in Lammersville, one of the things that it all begins with our expanding one-to-one initiative. And one-to-one computing is where we have one computer to each person, or each student inside of a classroom, so they can be tied into what's going on in the classroom. Currently in our district, we're 7 through 12, we're 1-to-1, and 4 through 6th grade, we're 2-to-1, and our TK through 3rd grade, we're 3-to-1. And so having this type of a one-to-one environment is what opens up the door for what we would consider our blended learning design. And blended learning comes from mixing, some of the best and tried and true traditional experiences that happen in a classroom with some of the best modern tools and the best modern pedagogies that come along with it. And it doesn't happen unless all these tools come together.
So the blended learning design benefits students in a multitude of ways. Classrooms are student-centered as they concentrate on engaging children within their differentiated interests. Within this mixture of traditional and contemporary teaching methods, students learn within a collaborative environment where new ideas are explored and opposing viewpoints are encouraged. Students participate in hands-on activities where they investigate a problem and provide justification for their answer. The role of a teacher transitions into that of a facilitator who asks probing questions, guides collaborative work, and fosters a safe environment where it is expected to take risks. Students use technology not only as a tool, but in order to achieve goals within academic context.
But all the things that go on inside these classrooms happen because we have modern tools, whether it's from sophisticated coding applications for the upper level students or math and science modeling applications for any kind of projects that are going on. Or whether we talk about some of the advanced collaboration tools that students are talking to each other or talking to their teacher or talking to the community members with. Or even more interesting, think about some of the awesome projects and the awesome digital displays. You saw 2 or 3 of them right here before you, where students are already those are young kids, they're involved in some really cool digital projects. And it's these kind of medias, right, that allow all kinds of sophisticated projects from relatively young students.
So once students are familiar with the digital tools available to them within a classroom, they are then able to apply their acquired content knowledge to real-life situations. As you walk throughout classrooms within LUSD today, you will see students actively designing school playgrounds, writing proposals, and giving presentations to relevant audiences. You will see the relationship of math to real-life context while students raise money to be able to purchase either an animal, plants, or basic items, and no, that was not planted in there, to provide to families of need. Students will be researching travel destinations and applying their acquired knowledge while analyzing the pros and cons of expenditures upon their trip. You will see modeled and scaled drawings of bedrooms, backyards, as well as city blueprints. As you step into classrooms throughout our district, you will witness children researching, evaluating, and defending solutions for situations that they can relate to and that they believe in. Students are able to realize how their learning can immediately be applied to the things that interest them outside of school.
But when our students leave Lammersville, they're going to be immersed in this quagmire of all types of digital displays and digital medias, right? And they need to become fluent learners, and not only just speaking and writing and reading as it's traditionally been, but how do I communicate through Twitter and YouTube, and what's a responsible way to be on Facebook, and all the different dynamics that come with being a social media person. And all these are all parts of what goes on in what we're moving towards in our classrooms. Think about our Google Suite, or think about the second or third grader who sends their very first email for the very first time. Think about the student who collaborates on a digital document with a student in the classroom right next door to them, or even in a desk right next door to somebody. These type of communications and medias, they start as early as probably first or second grade, all the way up into our advanced classes.
And as we obviously saw with our third grade project, project-based learning stems from authentic driving questions or challenges that students desire to find the answer to. They conduct research, apply their 21st century skills that they have acquired. They work through productive struggle as they receive feedback, go through revisions, and then present the process to an audience. Some examples of project-based learning within our district are through the biomedical engineering classes, Project Lead the Way, robotics, science fair, as well as many other authentic projects that are happening consistently.
Earlier this year, our Ed Services Department had the opportunity to join one of the leading brain researchers right here from Stanford University, Dr. Joe Bowler, and we saw some just fantastic evidence. And the best part of all this is that the things that we're doing right now are actually research-based. There is actual statistical evidence that shows that kids' brains grow when they struggle. And that's our goal, right? Our rigorous curriculum design, everything that as we design these critical skills for kids, it's about students being able to have what's called positive struggle, right? And it physically makes their brains grow. So as we talk about our 21st century skills, none of this can come together, right? We can put as many tools we want to. We can buy all the software and put it together, but this doesn't happen unless there's good 21st century instruction going on inside the classroom. There still is a teacher. It's still a classroom, and everything that has been true in the past is still very true today, right? About what has to be true about a teacher inside our classrooms.
In order for 21st century instruction to even take place, you must have technology-enhanced classrooms where students can utilize the tools needed to participate in a contemporary instruction. LUSD is proud to provide secure Wi-Fi, teacher laptops, student Chromebooks, as well as document cameras in all classrooms, while a majority of classes also have interactive whiteboards. This technology-enhanced classroom will allow learning to become mobile and in the moment, exposing students to learning opportunities that before did not exist. Ideally, these tools are infused within successful instruction methods all day, every day.
And our classrooms are really equipped to handle all different styles of learners. We have a variety of products that help target all kinds of different issues that come up in a classroom environment. We have a product called Guru, and Guru Learning is a system which teachers can package small little mini lessons together so that students can take those little lessons on their own or with a small group and kind of be guided through the instruction. And it's a really cool system for our teachers to share with each other. But think about the fact that this is also a global company, right? And our teachers right here in Lammersville are sharing projects and stuff that have been built in other countries and other states and other parts of the world. Compass Learning, which is used for targeted instruction, right? Students that have very targeted deficiencies in math or in English and places where we've identified that there's something that needs to be fixed. It's one of our programs that we're allowed to do those kinds of things. GoQuest is another product that we've recently unveiled for our higher achieving group of kids in classes. These are interest-based surveys where students can understand a little bit more about their interests, and then they're pushed into a project-based learning scenario that focuses on a topic, but also in a way that interests the students.
So as we work to unify rigorous and reflective instruction within LUSD, we utilize programs such as NWEA MAP and Illuminate to establish common assessments that then allow collaboration to occur and data-driven decisions to be made to immediately benefit students in our classrooms. These programs help us to look at data for differentiated grouping, enrichment, and accelerated models, in addition as a formative tool for teachers to use on a daily basis within their individual classroom.
And speaking of being our classroom organized, we have two of the industry standard tools right here in Lammersville. Number one, the Google Apps for Education suite. Across the country, over 90% of the schools employ the Google Apps for Education, where Google Docs and Google Sheets and Google Slides and Google Presentations. Google has recently unveiled a product called Google Classroom, which has allowed some of our younger classes to really have a nice learning management system similar to our advanced one, but definitely geared down towards younger students. And all these things that Google provides are all shared together in a nice Google Drive, right, that allows all the sharing that can go on, whether it's between students and teachers and students or community and students. We use the Canvas learning management system. Canvas has actually just been selected by the California Junior College Association as their official platform for their colleges going forward, which means that our students right now are going to be working in the exact same platform that every junior college in the state of California will use, and on top of that, a good chunk of colleges that are already a piece of that. And our Canvas system is it's a digital library. It's a place for our teachers to build courses and selectively be able to push things out to students and bring things back.
The sequence of planning, taking action, evaluating, and reflecting is not only essential within every student, teacher, class, and school site, but also as an entire district. The collaborative process of rigorous curriculum design, which has been implemented K-12, allows for continued reflection to take place prior to, within, and after each unit. LUSD is currently putting forth great effort in recalibrating to an articulated TK through 12 2.0 version of RCD, where units have infused blended learning components and tools, vertically aligned priority standards, incorporated 21st century skills, while maintaining the level of rigor that is required by Common Core within math, language arts, and next generation science standards. The development of 21st century skills and instruction feeds directly into establishing a 21st century classroom. However, the missing piece of the puzzle in setting up students to be college and career ready is 21st century professional development for all stakeholders in our district.
There's been a traditional model in the past for communication in a school district, and it's typically gone from from teacher to student and student to parent. And it's a very linear progression, and as many of us know, that the lines of communication get very convoluted along that line. And so one of the awesome things about technology and some of the learning management systems we have, like Canvas and Google Classroom, it allows us to think about it as a pyramid now of everybody being connected: the students, the district, the parents, the teachers. Everyone is connected. Everyone has a view of what's going on in the classroom. Everything is transparent. And so one of our driving goals of our department is how do we train everybody to be a successful part of the model that you see up here? Not just the parents, not just the students and our teachers, but how do we get the parents and the community and the district and everybody talking on the same page?
Meaningful professional development has the ability to greatly impact the instruction within the classroom. For the 2015-2016 school year, professional development has been centered predominantly on math content and practices. We are thankful for the county partnerships with San Joaquin and Stanislaus, as both have delivered research-driven presentation on mathematical practices and number talks during our full in-service days, as well as through multiple day interactive workshops with RCD leads. We have also continued a deeper look into the CDE math framework that Heather held up earlier, and its implications during grade-level collaboration Fridays. Maintaining a focus centered on math has allowed our district to fully understand the shifts that are required for math within Common Core and to identify strategies, activities, and best practices on how to implement those shifts. Recently, we have also been working with the county as we continue to explore next generation science standards. Teams of teachers and admin attended workshops outlining the logistics of implementing these new standards, as well as identifying the differences between the old and new science standards. This was then re-emphasized with all 6 through 12 science teachers during January's in-service day. A next generation science standards committee has now been formed and will start to meet and collaborate for a successful rollout TK through 12.
One of the best parts of our department's new structure and alignment is really bringing a brand new model of coaching to the district as far as how we can help work with teachers. Our department has started helping to instill the principals as being really great instructional leaders of their own buildings. We have department chairs now in our high schools that are really focusing on their own subjects and helping to provide that coaching directly to those teachers. The structure of our department allows us to make peer visits, allows us to get subs for other teachers to visit other teachers, allows us to bring in model lessons and share those lessons with teachers or work side by side with some of those teachers. And the best part of all this, right, is it's an on-demand assistance with teachers. There's no more of the 1 or 2 or 3 professional development series in a year, and then we come back next year and see what happens. We have the equipment now to provide this immediate feedback, right, where teachers can experiment with something, play with something else, and come back the next day and with some good evaluative experience.
So parents and community members have a very important role as they work with teachers to provide their children with the highest quality of education. We were excited to offer evening math workshops where over 100 parents attended and participated in engaging Common Core activities while learning about the demands of the new instructional shifts. As we strive to have constant communication, webisodes have been sent out concerning CASP, MAP, RCD, the curriculum committee, as well as other important updates. As the district website continues to expand, it houses a wealth of resources pertaining to LUSD. We love that Aries Portal, Canvas, and Compass Learning are all available for instant home access, and it enables stronger collaboration between school and home. We look forward to continuing ongoing communication to the parents and community of Lammersville. As our district continues to progress and develop 21st century skills, enhance classroom instruction, and meaningful professional development, all of the essential components brought forward tonight will mesh together to foster students that are equipped for the demands of the future that awaits them.
So thank you very much, Brian and Jenna. So as you can see, we have a great deal of things that are going on in order to support curriculum and instruction within our district. And we're just at the beginning. At the beginning of any change, you're going to have different levels of implementation as people continue to learn and grow. So different classrooms, different grade levels, they're in different places because this is a journey. And we're moving along this journey. But we already have so many great things. So what do we have for plans for the rest of this spring and this school year? Right now, our next big focus is starting our curriculum committee. We'll have our second curriculum committee meeting, and we'll be looking at the best options for our English language arts and math curriculum going into the 16-17 school year. Most importantly out of that is we need to make sure that we have informed consumers who really understand both the requirements for the 21st century learning and knowledge base that we want students to have, those 5 C's and how those are infused, and what the needs are specifically here of the students here within our district. So we'll be working on that through our curriculum committee process this spring. We'll be looking at moving into touch interface devices like perhaps an iPad for our TK, kindergarten, and first grade students to help make it a little bit easier for them to manipulate through some of those programs that we'd like them to use and make those really impactful in the classroom in meaningful ways. And we can roll those laptop devices up and increase the 1-to-1 ratio at the 5th and 6th grades. And so that'll help us along our way. We'll be looking at revising the report cards this spring and gathering teacher input to look at that. How do we make what's valuable to teachers and aligned to the Common Core standards be really meaningful feedback to parents that they can use. We'll be fully developing the GATE identification process and getting a program ready to launch into the 16-17 school year, actually identifying students this year is our goal. We'll work on expanding the career tech ed pathways at the high school and looking at alternate high school options that will be available for students who have different needs, whether they have credit recovery or they're just not successful underneath our traditional model. We'll have meaningful integration of the CASP interim assessments to support instruction. In fact, the sites will be doing professional development for their district professional development day on Friday this week, and then they'll be doing more work to look at how to incorporate those most meaningfully into their current instruction so that they can support refining and tweaking their instruction between now and state testing. And we'll work really hard on developing RCD in this 2.0 version that Jenna mentioned earlier to make sure that we really are developing the best units, and how will that integrate with what we make as recommendations out of the curriculum committee so that we have a really well coordinated and articulated product. And lastly, we'll really be digging in with teachers to learn about the next generation science standards even more. We've already begun that journey, and we'll be talking about what is the best way to implement those and developing a plan. So these are really exciting times in education, and clearly there is a lot of work to continue to do as we're moving forward, creating this amazing 21st century education system in Lammersville. However, in closing, even though our journey in Lammersville is still in its infancy, it's a lot of hard work to learn and grow and adapt to address these unprecedented levels of change in the educational system. Here in Lammersville, we must remember to celebrate all that we've accomplished already. We have the highest CASP scores of any unified school district in the area on the very first CASP state test ever taken. We have 1-to-1 technology in 7th through 12th grade, 2-to-1 in grades 4-6, and 3-to-1 in TK3. And I can tell you from my own personal experience out there, this far surpasses many, many, many districts already. We have exceptional high school pathways that lead to things like Cisco certification and early college completion. We have a Golden Bell Award for the strategic plan for all of the work that's been done. We have K-12, a computer-based individualized learning opportunities for acceleration and for additional supportive instruction that's individualized and personalized. And we have multiple real-world opportunities that students are out there competing and earning medals like we saw tonight with the American Mathematics Competition, but also in the Science Olympiad, the Math Olympiad, the Spelling Competition, the Science Fair, our ASB student leadership programs, and the Pentathlon, and we know that there's even more to come. So we have so much to be proud of and so much that we've accomplished already, but in the future we know there's a lot more greatness to come. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for the presentation, everyone. I just wanted to mention that when I went to CSBA to speak at a meeting with my delegates, and I, as usual, was bragging about our district and was talking about our technology in high school, and I just got an email today from a board member from Lodi School District who's a CSBA delegate, and it just said, "I went to visit your high school. Wow." I mean, wow. That was the email. So I'm very proud of what we're doing. I'm very proud of the work that you guys are doing. Thank you very much. I did have a couple questions. I'm sure the board has some comments also. You mind coming back up? Go ahead, Colin.
So the upcoming curriculum committee meeting I got the email, January 25th. When was the first committee meeting again?
Back in December.
And that's the one I think that we discussed on the board that the attendance was, there wasn't a lot of attendance, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. I'm really going to make every effort to go to January 25th at 3:30, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I don't think I can, some of those meetings are like all day from 8 to 2, right? And some of the subsequent meetings.
Right. We'll be pulling the committee members who are officially, the ones that are after school will have open, but then we have official committee members giving us a real diverse representation so that we have representation from every school site and every grade level, and it's balanced so that we hear all voices, because it's really important that while we're becoming informed, that those committee members remember that they're looking at making recommendations through the lens of supporting the whole district. So we want to have a real balanced committee that's looking at that as, not thinking I'm just first grade at Altamont or, second grade at Wickland. This is what I want. That it's really about what is going to be best for us as a district as a whole.
Okay, we as a board, or at least me as a board member, made a commitment to do everything in my power, in our power, to help move that process along. So keep the communications coming. If there's anything that I personally can do, I know I don't speak for the rest of the board, but I know I speak in unison with them, that this is a critical objective for us. So let's keep the wheels moving. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Anybody else?
I would like to thank Jenna and Brian. Your presentation was outstanding. It gets frustrating when people do presentations and they read it. You didn't read what was on the screen. Thank you. Also, I was so thrilled to hear an awareness that kids struggling helps brain growth. We need to be teaching our children how to fail so they don't fall apart when they do fail, because failure is part of learning. It's the learning process. So I was thrilled to hear that. You guys have put so much work into this. Thank you so much, and keep it up.
I think the term that Mr. Gervais used was productive struggling.
Productive struggle,
Yeah,
that's right.
I loved it. Loved it. Thank you.
I don't have questions, but I have a couple of comments. One, if you could you bring up the picture with the 5 C's again, because I want to add something to that. But before I do that, every year we get to hear about 2 projects that parents love: science fair and the mission project, which my son is in the middle of right now.
I really did love the science fair project.
I personally loved the science fair project because my daughter's science fair project does a red popsicle taste, or a lollipop taste like cherry, even though it was banana. And she did a whole science fair project on that. But this isn't about the science fair as much as it is about options. My son is the 3rd of our children who will have done this project. And the first 2 projects were more about how many times did we have to force our child to work on their model. My son's option for his model is a 3D rendered model using the Minecraft world. He is creating his mission. Actually, he's doing a state park instead of a mission, because they were allowed to do that, as a 3D model using Minecraft. And while that might sound elementary, first of all, it intrigues him to no end. And I look at a gentleman over there who gets to do something in a far more advanced way, to do basically the same thing, to take a computer-generated model of something and create it or recreate it. And my son has worked on that thing every single day since it was offered. And it's not something we could do if we weren't offering advanced options using 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1 options, as well as the other integrated systems that we're trying to help create. So I want to say we need to look at the options that we're providing not as necessarily roadblocks, but options and alternatives, and try to find the one that best suits your child. Second, I wanted to bring this slide back up because you talked about those 5 words in terms of education. I don't see those 5 words in terms of education. I see those 5 words as a part of every single thing that every business or this school district does. It should be a part of every relationship that is here within this school district, not just teachers to students, but within the staff, from staff to administrators, from administrators to board, and vice versa. Every single one of those words is something we all need to be having in our day-to-day, what we're doing, why we're doing, because it is, in the end, if we're doing all 5 of these things, we're going to produce a better product, whether it's the 5 of us up here as board members, Dr. Nicholas, the administration, the teachers, or the students. Every one of those things is an important aspect of what we do, and I hope to see us continue to try to utilize those 5 C's to create the curriculum in the future that our students deserve.
Thank you. They are foundational to the college and career readiness that we strive for with our students, and they have to be foundational to every aspect of our educational system to prepare our students.
And I just wanted to thank you for acknowledging the fact that we can't leave the parents out of the equation. I think that's been the biggest struggle with LCFF that I'm hearing all over the state, is that parents can't help their kids because they don't understand the stuff. So it needs to be an educational process for the parents, and keep them in tune to the whole process, if you would.
Yes, and we know we're still beginning in that journey, and we've made a lot of headway, but we need to continue. It's vital.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks for the presentation. Consent items for consideration. Item A is approval of governing board meeting minutes from,
I think you skipped some stuff. Never mind. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. You're good.
thank you. Item A, approval of governing board minutes from January 6th. Item B is budget revisions and warrants. Item C is approval of purchase contracts under $25,000. Item D, acceptance of resignation. There's one. Item E, acceptance of 2 donations. And item F, approval of updated 2015-16 fundraisers. We can remove any item for discussion or approve them all in one.
I move we approve the consent items as presented.
I would like to pull item F for discussion and approval separately.
So we have a first on everything with the exception of item F. Do you amend your?
That's fine. I'll amend my motion.
Do I have a second?
Second, as amended.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So item F.
I'm sorry.
Approval of the updated 2015-16 fundraisers.
So the only reason why I pulled this is to make sure that we approve it properly. On the Cuesta spring auction, they resubmitted to include alcohol, and I'm sure it's a typo, but it still says on campus. So I'm sure it's supposed to be off campus if it has alcohol?
Dr. Gill.
Yes, it is a typo. It is off campus.
Okay, so
Yes.
I would move to approve the fundraiser list with the correction that Cuesta's spring auction will be off campus.
Great catch.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. President, we moved through the first set a little fast. My vote stands. I did have one information question, just a question. On the Concreators 13626 multipurpose room wax, is that for one multipurpose room or is that
It's for the high school multipurpose room.
That's the high school
Yes.
is $13,000 to.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
It's a big room.
It is a very big room. The initial construction project, I'm glad, is Mr. King? He was
He
sitting
stepped
in
out.
that corner over there.
Yeah, he just stepped
He'll be
out.
back.
He confirmed that the initial contract had two coats of the flooring to be placed, and that was the specs, good to go. They put it in. I believe, I'm looking at Mr. Faubert, painter's tape was used in that multipurpose room, and the painter's tape, when it was pulled off a coat of wax and left marks on the floor. And they came back stating, well, it's because it now requires in specs in future projects to have 5 coats and not 2 coats. So this particular 13,000 is for now 5 coats. There's Mr. King now. So that is the reason. And then he just informed me the other flooring luckily will only require waxing and not the same type of.
Could you come to the mic so we can get on recorded? Thanks, Wes.
You're actually online, so people need to hear you.
So, as we all know, in the floor in the cafeteria, the chair movement caused the stain to come off sooner than we would have liked. And so that needs to get re-stained before it can get resealed. And the manufacturer, since the installation was done originally, has changed their recommendations. And so now where we put 2 coats on top, they now require to put 5. So in the other areas of the high school where the rubbing didn't occur from the chairs, like the corridors, we can just put additional coats to protect it. And that should be significantly cheaper than having to restain it and recoat it, which is what we're doing in the cafeteria.
So this is for restain coat and wax wax.
Yes.
Right? Okay. That makes more sense to me. Thanks.
Well, plus 3 coats, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Wes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Noel, did we finish the vote for item F? Thank you. District Administrative Reports, item A, Superintendent's Report.
I just wanted to announce one of the things, good news is that came in last week. We were awarded a second very large allocation of funds tied to a career technical ed grant award. I want to acknowledge the work of Dr. Gill. She worked in partnership with other districts in the county. The total for a 3-year period is $309,000 that will go to support our students in the areas of career technical ed. So one of the things when numbers are tight and your LCFF allocation isn't that of other districts with different student populations is grants. This is the second year in a row that we've received a hundreds of thousands of dollars grant, but this one will continue to support the community's needs and in the area of career technical ed. So excellent job to Dr. Gill, the county school districts that participated. It's a large amount of money.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gill. Good work. Item B, enrollment report.
So we've met another threshold here. I'm glad I didn't bet David this time. We are now at 4,000.
I thought we had bet.
4,106. That's nearly 100 students since the school year began increase.
Very good. Item C, Williams quarterly reporting for October 16 through January 15, 2016.
There were no reports.
Item D, district maintenance and operations report.
Dr. Nicholas and I met with Turner and Mr. King last week to review some of the outstanding warranty items. Turner and Mr. King, along with Mr. Silvera, walked over to Altamont to review the flooring, which I still need to get some confirmed dates. Hopefully they can come in February I'm looking at Mr. Yeager too, because we had hoped that they would complete a lot more classrooms than they did over winter break, and that did not happen. So I haven't heard anything and since we met last week about this project.
I have an update.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I talked to Turner Construction on my way here tonight, and they're pressuring the subcontractor to do it at least these next 2 weekends in January to at least get started. They already have a commitment from the subcontractor to start in February on the weekends, but they're trying to get it sooner. And so Turner's offered to pay that subcontractor's cost for overtime in order to make that happen. So everyone's trying to get it done.
We have a commensurate cost as far as access, or will Mr. Yeager be available? I mean, it's weekends, we can't have him here.
Right, and it's
8
basically to
straight days.
unlock the room, so I probably will, I mean, all of our custodians are pretty stretched out with the facility use, so I actually asked Lori Robertson if she didn't mind unlocking for this particular event. I don't know how else to make sure that this project gets done. It needs to get done.
No, I just want to make sure we have that.
We're just our
We hate
existing
for everybody else
staffs.
to be ready, and we're like, oh no, we don't have anyone to lock in on Sunday.
Right, and then, and I also wanted to report with the rain, we're now getting leaks. The high school now has new leaks. Bethany, I've never heard to have roof leaks, has roof leaks. Wickland has a few at least that had been repaired, so those are covered. Lammersville, I actually hadn't heard about Lammersville having any leaks, but our custodians are going to be walking around through all of the classrooms to see if there's any more to report, because obviously we're anticipating a lot of rain to come.
Starting Friday.
And then the grass looks not very healthy, but they're not able to put any fertilizer on it until the rain kind of subsides a little bit, otherwise it'll just wash away.
Sorry, I think about the kids' presentation. Thanks, El Nino.
I've been really concerned with the rain about how that might impact the gophers. We have taken steps to protect the gophers from the rain, right?
Some little
Right.
water wings so they can
Right,
float
as soon as
around
it
the
kind of
homes.
lets up, then we can put more of the treatment to try to
The Gophers have been
terminate
taking
those.
swimming lessons.
Yes. And of course, any of the repairs that are necessary, we obviously need to fix. We'll be using either deferred maintenance funds or the routine maintenance repair account.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Alvina.
You're welcome.
Action items. Item A, consider approval of updated 2015-16 intra-district transfer requests.
I move we approve the requests as presented.
Second.
Call it quick.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consider approval of 2016-17 intra-district transfer requests.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
That's one way to do it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, consider approval of second reading and adoption of revised board policies and administrative regulations 5111, 5113.1, 5144.4, and Exhibit 5145.6. Any staff report?
None.
Any board discussion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, consider approval of public disclosure form AB 1200 for Lammersville Teacher Association agreement for the 15 through 17 school years. Staff report.
This is the formal approval of the good work that the union bargaining team and the district did to get to an agreement.
Board discussion.
I would just like to remind the public that this is only a piece of the lengthy approval process. This AB 1200 that takes Alvina hours to prepare is also being approved at the county. And so we have to wait for that as well until it all becomes totally official.
Go ahead. I would like to say, first off, I'm glad this is over. This has been an extremely painful last couple months. I'm very disappointed at the way things played out. This agreement that is before us, before this board right now, is not far off from the first proposal made by the district. This agreement could have been reached on day one. This adversarial relationship that has been created needs to end. It's not helping anybody. And like I said, when we're finally agreeing on something after all this contention that could have been agreed on day one, I think there's a problem. So I'm glad this is over. Thank you.
I'll just, tomorrow's January 21st. And I'm hoping that every day from this school year and the stuff that happened prior to January 21st stays back there. We have issues that we have to fix and issues that we have to address. We talked about some of the curriculum stuff and some other things that this district needs to be looking at. And I'm hoping that we can go back and look at those 5 C's and recognize that all of us together need to pull, direct, and push this district in the same direction to get to where all of us want to be, for our staff, for our students, for our families. This decision is going to have impacts on the district. Some things that I had hoped to see us be able to get done that the superintendent will be addressing later that we won't be able to get done. That doesn't mean it's wrong, doesn't mean it's bad. It's a decision that we have to make. Finite resources. The district has always, I have always been a big believer in making sure we're taking care of the district financially as best we can and looking at all aspects and making the tough decisions. It's really easy to say we should do something without recognizing that means we can't do something else. And I'm hoping that as we move forward, that the public, that the parents, that the students, that the teachers, that the district, that the board can all sit down and recognize, wait a minute, this is a partnership. And all of us have to recognize we don't just go from here and take something away or add something and it not have an impact over here. But again, I want to move on. I want to address the things that are in front of us and try to recognize the things that we can fix and the things that we need to do as a district. And I'm hoping that all of us together, the community, the staff, the district, the board, can do that.
I just want to piggyback on what I said earlier. The increased communication from the district and from the union leadership, along with keeping it positive, is going to take us leaps and bounds from where we are right now.
And then I'll move we approve public disclosure form AB 1200.
Did you have comments?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second. I get another shot.
Yeah, you do. I apologize. Did you have something further?
I did. I don't want to look backwards, right? I want to look forward. And when I went to the CSBA conference, I focused on one of the things that I focused on, and I think Trustee Pombo did as well, was on that process. And obviously it was significant to me and probably to us at the time. And so, the message, I'm glad that I can finally speak to the issue because it's on the agenda. It's a public meeting. And, it was not a matter of whether or not the teachers deserve more money. It was a matter of how much can the district afford to pay. And the direction that the district had was literally, how much can we afford to pay without triggering a state takeover? And it wasn't as much as Tracy Unified is currently paying. But it didn't change the fact that what the district could afford to pay was what the district could afford to pay. I make the commitment to the parents of the community that the decisions that I make as a board member will be through the lens of how does this impact our ability to pay our teachers comparably to what other districts are paying. That commitment hasn't changed. LCFF, I literally, we as a district looked for other districts, and I don't think we found a single district in the state that makes less per student than Lammersville does. And the reasons why are long and distinguished. We don't have as many high school students. We don't have the concentration of English learners, of foster kids, of low income. Yeah. Sorry, I had a brain meld there. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't change. It doesn't change the amount that this district gets. So we have to do, the best we can with the dollars that we have. And, we had consultants tell us, if you do this, if you do the 9% in 1 year, you will have a state takeover, not next year, not the following year. As soon as you update your financial metrics, you will trigger a state takeover. And what will the state do? They will fix your financial problem. How will they do it? They'll take the money back from the teachers. And what will happen is you'll still have board meetings. You'll still have to go through that same process of deliberating what's happening, but there will be a new step. The state literally will look at every decision you made and will be able to countermand you as a board. It would have been the worst thing that we could do is trigger a state takeover. So my commitment, the comments that I made, not in school board meetings, because that would be a violation of the Brown Act, because this wasn't on the agenda. The commitment that I made to parents and to teachers that came to me one-on-one, and I believe I can honestly say that I responded to every single phone call and every single email that came to me throughout the process. I said, it's a matter of what can the district afford. I make the commitment that the decisions that I make as a board member going forward will be cast through the lens of what can we do? How does this impact our ability to make the teachers, to make sure that we can pay the teachers comparable to what other districts pay? It doesn't mean we're not going to spend any money. It doesn't mean, we're going to take the choice of not fixing something, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's a one factor, but it is a very important factor. Going forward, that's what I want to look at, is how I behave, how we behave, how the district behaves. And I have one recommendation for the district staff, because one of the things that we learned in training, in this training that we went to, was there were times where the district would report a set of facts and circumstances about what had been offered, and the union reported in that that wasn't true, or they didn't like that, and it wasn't a matter of the district was trying to mislead. They were presenting the facts. And the same thing on the teachers union side. And one of the things that I learned in training was, if after those negotiations, if the district staff and the union agrees on this is what was said, this was the offer, this was the counteroffer, just a statement of facts, just an agreeing on this is what the offers were together, before they leave the meeting, this is the numbers that, this was their side, this is our side. And it doesn't matter, it's not a statement of, it's not a determination of right or wrong. It's merely, do you agree that this is what I offered? Great. Do you agree that this was the counter? Great. And together we can present, you can present to the public, this was what happened, so that later on there's no he said, she said. There are numerous districts that reported in the class, I don't know, training sessions, I guess is what I would call them, said that eliminated a lot of the contention, just agreeing on the verbiage. And so that would be the one recommendation that I would make going forward, is that we do that.
Mr. Clements, it's a common practice in school district negotiations to produce a joint communique. Many districts do it. Many districts do not do it. But that's what you're talking about. And it comes with the training that goes with negotiations.
Which I'm very thankful for the opportunity to go to training. I've learned a lot by going to the Masters in Governance classes, by going to the CSBA. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Every problem under the sun has already been faced by another district, and there's a superintendent or board member out there with a good idea and a strategy. Thank you.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, consider approval of HVAC preventive maintenance contracts with indoor environmental services for all elementary schools in the amount of $39,519. Staff report.
I'll defer to Alvina.
We have 231 units district-wide in the K-8 schools, and this is a recommendation by Mr. Nolan before he retired, and also a recommendation by the contractors and the architect of making sure that we are doing this preventative maintenance on the units. I don't know if you recall, over the summer I showed you some pictures. I went onto the rooftop at the high school, and it's such a long process to get these changed. And if you can recall, with all the construction going on around here, the dirt was just filling up those filters, and they were starting to just suck into the units, and that obviously causes sometimes a need for repair. So our hope is with this preventative maintenance, it will keep us from having to put in the amount of money into repairs and affecting our deferred maintenance account. This would not be any new additional dollars coming from anywhere. It's already been money budgeted out of the percentage in routine, restricted routine maintenance.
Okay, I'll move for approval of the HVAC preventative maintenance contracts as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item F, consider approval of 2016-17 budget development calendar. Staff report.
This is a district practice that's been ongoing. Any specifics is for Alvina, but it's kind of a checks and balances system that they bring forward.
Well done.
It's a long process for Saul.
Any discussion?
Move to approve the 2016-2017 budget development calendar.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Information discussion items. Item A is a budget update.
I've learned over time that when all else fails, ask the 6'10" guy to help you feel taller. So
gotta do that by necessity, right?
Yeah. So it's my pleasure tonight, Mr. President, board members, Madam Student Trustee, and the community to talk about, give a budget update and talk a little bit about LCFF and the governor's budget proposal for the 16-17 year. I wanted to start with a little quick district at a glance to try to kind of bring all together and consolidate the information that the Ed Services team put together with what's been going on in our community. So if you take a look, in 2.5 years, we've gone from 4 to 6 schools, from 2,700 to 4,500 kids projected for next school year, K-8 to K-12. The No Child Left Behind California Standards Test Assessment has been replaced by the Common Core CASP assessment. The LEA plan has been replaced by the LCAP. Revenue limit-based budget, this is a state system system has now been replaced by LCFF, and a field known as the Future Village called Hanson now has 350 homes or permits and 95 students that are currently attending our schools, 85 at the elementary level and 10 at the high school. And if anybody drives through that neighborhood, all you'll see is more houses are coming fast. So when we're doing the budget planning, we're talking about the immediate budget planning and planning out in the future, not just for the LCAP, which is a 3-year plan, but also just really what can we do in this 21st century world that our Ed Services team did such a beautiful job describing in the big picture, day-to-day operations and the changes that are coming. These are all the things that are considered. I mean, there are all kinds of factors that you have to think of. All of these things that we have to accomplish with the finite resource of money that we have. How do we prioritize the list? How do we communicate and gather feedback? And what do we put into play with the money that we have? So a quick review. The LCFF formula has been explained over and again, but it's always important to start. There are 4 funding areas. I'll hit here. At the grade levels, there are 3 grants: a base grant, a supplemental grant, and a concentration grant. So we have to take our student population and, I did that last time. And with the EL student population, our low income population, and our foster youth, those are calculated into the supplemental grant allocation and the concentration grant allocation. Concentration grant only goes to school districts with those 3 student populations of 55% or higher. So when you look at how the state gives us money, you have the 4 areas by grade level, a little bit of money for class size reduction, which our district has already met the state number, which is 24-1, a little bit of money for career technical ed, and some supplemental grant money, and that's how we get paid. If you look at this, and it'll be easy to try to kind of explain, the last time I gave this presentation, we looked at just our county. I drew a bigger circle, and we took any district that was like us in this side of Contra Costa, a little bit of Alameda, a little bit of Stanislaus, and all of San Joaquin County. And we did find a district that makes a little less than we do, which is Brentwood, which is right down the road. But our district sits there, and that tells you the impact of the low numbers of foster youth, English learners, and low-income students. And this is the program the governor rolled out, and this is how we get allocated our funds to do all the things that we want to do and wish to do.
You're right. There were no other high school districts, right?
Correct, sir.
Okay.
All right, so what our task in looking at that original list is to find a balance. We have to find a balance about our professional and personal needs of our staff. We have to meet the demands of our community, which is very 21st century oriented, and what the programs they want their kids to experience in their education here. And we have to continually plan and build for new schools, because as the houses are built in neighborhood, what was C is now Hanson, as we try to finish Mountain House High School, all of those 3 things have to stay within balance. So, in terms of professional personal needs, we did just vote to formalize the agreement, and that will be, as the final steps go through, us saying yes to that agreement. So I wanted to explain to the community and this board where that landed. So it was a 2-year salary and benefit increase. The total amount is approximately 8.5%. In 15-16, on the salary schedule, a 4% raise, and a $0.5 or $600 towards health benefits. In 16-17, a 3% raise on the salary schedule, and a $0.5 or $600 additional dollars to the benefits. We also went to the salary schedule, which I'll explain in greater detail in a moment, to column 5, which we call the far right column. It's for the most experienced, most beyond BA educated teachers, and we strengthened that column for 2 reasons. One, it makes us competitive for veteran teachers, and 2, it's an incentive for the teachers that are here to stay. But those costs in compressing it, meaning teachers can max out earlier, and adding the longevity steps, which means that the stipend that was in the old system is now built into that column, is an additional 0.5 to get us to 8.5%. We also agreed to contingency language. So the thresholds are based on the governor's budget. That means the approved budget, and that is a process that will last into the summer. But if the approved budget apportionment reaches $350,000 of ongoing dollars, then an additional 1% will go to our teachers. If that voted upon by the legislator budget is approved at $700,000 ongoing, they'll get 2%. We'll see how that goes. I have some information about the proposed budget. And finally, we increased stipends for teachers that are putting extra time running programs for kids at the K-8s or at the high school. Most of the stipends were increased to take care of our young teachers who are typically doing, our young meaning early in career, teachers that are doing the work after school and doing all that. But also it's an incentive to get involved. So where did the additional 1% go? This is important, and it goes to what Trustee Nielsen was speaking to a few minutes ago. The district offer was 7.5% over 2 years. The agreement was 1% additional, or 8.5%. And so in that balance about the professional and personal needs of staff, the program desires of the community for kids, and the planning and preparation to build new schools, the 1% had to come from somewhere. So in looking at the budget money that we have two programs that would fall into the choose to category as opposed to the already in play category. Those are the K-5 Project Lead the Way, which is a STEM program that is the driving force behind our 6-8 and 9-12 Career Technical Ed program, Career Pathways program. And they do have a K-5 program that we would like to bring into the district and give STEM opportunities to build a K-12 career, STEM process. The second one is GATE. We've been working for 2 years to do one thing, to not just identify kids and say that kids are GATE, but build a real GATE program. The monies that are helping support that 1% are going to slow down the GATE rollout, not block it, but slow down the robustness of it. But that's what happens in our district. LCFSF pigeonholes us into keeping a balance of those three things: teachers' personal and professional needs, the program demands of the community for kids, and planning and preparing for schools that we are going to be building, and there Roland and Hanson is coming. So let's talk a little bit about how teachers get paid, because I don't know if the community is fully aware. There's something called step and column, and there's something called a negotiated settlement. So the negotiated settlement would take this, and this is our 15-16 salary schedule. And each one of those boxes represents a place where someone lands in their career of experience and their career in their units past their degree. Everyone lands in a spot. So the 7% over the 2 years that go onto the salary schedule will go into every one of those squares, and every one of those will increase over 2 years by 7%. What also happens is in each one of those areas, there's an opportunity for teachers to get a raise called a step increase, a column increase, and for the lucky some, they can do a step and column increase. So the steps have to do with years experience, which are delineated here. And in each one of these columns, for a period of time until it caps, each time a teacher gets 1 year additional experience in our district, they get an additional 3%. If they're capped out, which is more down in this area, because we don't provide raises at every year of experience, then it's possible for a person who's capped out in the step to move over into a column and get an additional 3%. But if you plan it well, and this is what I did when I was a teacher, is you go to school, you have to clear your credential, you earn a master's degree, you take additional classes in an area you're interested in, and the magic to get 6% is to get 1 year experience and move over one column at one time. And if you move diagonally, you get a 6% raise. So our district is filled with teachers that are in the early part of their career, approximately 70 to 75%. We have about 25% of our teachers that fall in over here. So for the raise that everyone got, if they are moving a step or moving a column, they not only got a raise, but they also get a step and column increase, or a step increase, or a step and column increase. So that's the system that's been in existence for decades, that's how teachers get raises. They get years of experience credit, and they get units past their degree. So, having talked a little bit about taking care of the personal and professional needs of staff, I'm going to talk a little bit about the programs that our community demands and how we're planning and preparing for new schools. So it all goes back to the Governor Brown's proposal, which came out last week in the early part of January. So the budget adoption process every year goes as such. So in December, we pass an first interim report. Then the governor gives his budget proposal. That's in January. In March, a second interim report, which adjusts to the governor's proposal. In May, he does a revise based on the numbers of collection of taxes. And ultimately, in a perfect manifestation of everybody getting along in Sacramento, the legislature in June adopts the budget. Now, in recent times, that has happened in June, and it's run like clockwork. In the 90s, in the 2000s, there was a lot of contentiousness, and that budget was never adopted. So it appears that with the karmic space that's going on in Sacramento, that June or July will be when they adopt the governor's budget. So what does it say? Well, Prop 98 is the fancy way of saying the education budget. And for 16-17, the total amount is $71.6 billion. That's an increase over the 15-16 budget of $3.2 billion. If you notice, there's an asterisk. There's a little clever move that was made. So the good news is the per pupil spending increases to a total of $10,591 per student. And the state average increase is $368 per pupil. That's very exciting. Unless you're in an LCFF district such as ours, because we are going to fall well below the 368 threshold because of our low numbers of low-income students, English learners, and foster youth. And so the county is going to be the determining factor in what that specific allocation is. But in our base conversations with them, they told us to be prepared to not get anywhere close to the state average. In the budget proposal of the governor, there's an additional $1.2 billion in this year for one-time purchases. So it seems that the governor's vision for the budget is take all these budget surpluses, wrap the package up into one-time purchases where you buy things and launch programs, and give very little money to ongoing monies, which is where you pay for people.
Programs that you launch?
Yes. So that's the complicated factor. So now here's where the asterisk comes into play. The governor, what he did with this budget surplus is he posted a big number, $3.2 billion. But what he really did was take the allocations that are supposed to come out in the next 4 years of LCFF rollout, and he reduced that by 2 years. So the allocation is for this year, but it also is what we would have got in the next and the following year. And so by speeding that up, the full rollout of LCFF should be complete in the 2017 year. So what does that mean for us? Well, here's how LCFF works in the world of Governor Brown. LCFF reaches 100%, that means it gets capped. That means that's it. We shifted the system. It is what it is. Everything's been reallocated. It's important to note that they didn't add more money. They just redistributed the money. They took the pile of money. They did add money in the base grant, but they also said all these strings attached money in the old system are now put into the pile, and most of it will be redistributed through supplemental and concentration grant. The second thing is this, is that once it's capped, then we'll go back to the COLA living worlds, which is cost of living adjustment world, where in the boom and bust cycles of California's economy, when the times are good, we get good COLA. When the times are bad, we don't get good COLA. And that's the world we'll be looking at going back into. Now, Governor Brown's term ends in 2018. There'll be a new governor. There'll be new initiatives. Who knows how this will turn out? I know that there was a report that came out today out of, I believe, CSBA that said that to fully fund education in California, it needs $22 to $42 billion additional dollars. And that would make us competitive, knowing that California's rankings as funding for per pupil is 46th in the country right now. So with that said, in Governor Brown's speech about the system and the budget, he said that they are not predicting a recession this or next year, but he does predict that one is coming. You can't keep all this upward growth without a slowdown. So that's something that we have to keep track of, because as LCFF dries up a recession hits, we could get hit by, oh, sorry, there's no COLA. That's the old system that anybody who's been in education for 10, 15, 20 years knows what that's like. And finally, as I emphasize this point, LCFF limitations will be based on lack of supplemental and concentration grant funding. Additionally, this is another, I should have put an asterisk next to this. Prop 30 expires. Prop 30 is, I'll explain in a second, and the STRS contribution are also liabilities that we have to keep in mind. So the Prop 30 was a temporary tax during the budget crisis. It was a quarter-cent sales tax and a tax on wealthy citizens. It's due to grandfather out first with the sales tax and the income tax, but the overall hit to the district by 2019-20 would be a loss of revenues of over $1 million. Now, here's the good news. There is a ballot initiative going forward to extend Prop 30 to 2032. It's very important that people keep track of this because in our LCFF environment, having the Prop 30 money will give us more monies for people, programs, and prepping for new schools. STRS contribution is a little bit more insidious was the word I was going to use, but I'll leave that out. Just pretend I didn't say that. In that, this is a deal with corporate America to subsidize the shortfall of the STRS pension liability, which sits at $73+ billion. And so what they're doing is passing on this have-to funding mechanism into making sure that all STRS-related educators, the district has increased its proportion of what they put into their retirement. So that's already started to affect our budget, and it started in 14-15. But when you look over here to 2021, it's approximately 20%, and where the starting place is 8.25. So all of this money will go out and be part of the LCFF apportionment that is already committed by the state. So I was inspired by the book Shel Silverstein's Where the Sidewalk Ends. I thought it was a nice metaphor. One of the things with the districts that we compete with in terms of resources is the lack of downtown does have an impact in being able to go to corporations to subsidize programs. That doesn't mean we're not going to reach out and go over the hill and try creative ideas. It just means that the slow build of our downtown does have an impact. And as that builds out over the next 15 or 20 years, then that would be a resource for us to access.
I'm sorry, but the word slow implies some progress towards building a downtown.
15 or 20 years, allegedly.
15 or 20 years, 10 years ago. But.
So a very quick explanation of the COLA-driven world.
We're moving at a geologic.
Yes, that's what it is.
So COLA, cost of living adjustment. So what typically happens is the state announces a percentage, let's say 5%. It goes on to the district. But that's not what people have to spend because you have to take out your liabilities. For us, step and call-in, which I explained earlier, operational costs, which are mandated costs, insurance, utility increases, workers' compensation, the STRS contribution will all be considered as a liability and taken off whatever COLA comes out. And if Prop 30 doesn't get extended, we'll also add that to our liability. So whatever the COLA is in moving forward, once LCFF caps, you take the liability, subtract it, and whatever's left is what you have to work with for people's professional and personal needs, for programs for kids, and for preparing and planning for new schools. So I do want to point out that we are doing our part to find money out there, and I complimented Dr. Gill's good work on the $309,000, but I also want to remind the community that last year, Dr. Gill, Brian Gervais, Kevin Seamus, and others also earned the district a 3-year grant for $518,000. So that's $820,000 that good hard work from educators are doing to go out into the system to bring money into the district for our students. So, quick review of how all that money affects our learning and our school environment. So in 13 through 16, we had a strategic plan, LCAP 1.0, LCAP 2.0. The programs that are listed there are already in play. We've already budgeted for them. They're already having an impact for kids. I'll defer to the excellent presentation from the Ed Services team about the details of all that. So that's where we're at right now. So I don't want to give the impression that we don't have anything. We have lots of things going on. It's really about how quickly we can expand. So for LCAP version 3.0 in the 16-17 school year, the things that we're considering for expansion are we're looking at music and arts, advanced and enrichment opportunities, GATE, college preparedness, career opportunities, technical and technical enhanced classrooms, extracurricular experiences, and career technical ed. If you take all of the presentation from Ed Services and you apply those things, the experiences for programs for kids grows exponentially. And we do have money, but we have to think about it very carefully. So how we're going to approach this is our LCAP will define how we use the allocations for money, programs, and things for kids in new schools. That our monies will ultimately be phased rollouts that I think the community needs to prepare to get used to. A phased rollout as a way we do business as opposed to big launches district-wide. That doesn't mean we won't do those things. And finally, we need to continue to look at the student data that tells us what's working and what's not working for the kids. So finally, LCFF and LUSD in the coming years. So we can do what we plan to do. We can't do everything, and some things are going to take longer to get done that we want to do. And so if we stay focused on what we're doing and we have a plan, and the plan is reviewed and we use student data, we'll be in a better shape to use the monies that we do have smartly, effectively, and to fully advance what our kids need. So I'll go back and tie this finally to this. 21st century classrooms is the expectation from the federal government and the state government, and that's who we answer to. We are going to have begun and will continue to have a conversation about what is the standard of a 21st century classroom in our district. That will help drive funding decisions. A lot of the stuff that was presented tonight and the programs that we have meet that criteria. Number two, when we buy materials, whether it's a new curriculum or Common Core materials or whatever materials, we have to be informed consumers. We have to know what we're buying, why we're buying it, the purpose it's going to fulfill, and the purposes that it's not going to fulfill so that we can use the RCD process 2.0 to make sure that any holes in our program can run through a professional learning community, teacher-driven discussion about what works and what doesn't work for kids. And then finally, we have to continue to reach out to our community about what they demand and desire for their kids in the programs that we're bringing forward. So with that, I added some resources, a budget review from the governor's office, an economic analysis from the banking industry, 2 economic forecasts in terms of how the California economy is doing now. It's a boom period. But I thought that would be important for people concerned. And with that, I conclude my presentation.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Can you do me a favor and can we post the slides on the website, and also can we get this snippet of the video and make it available as well?
Correct. Absolutely, not a problem.
We appreciate that. Any questions from the board?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a comment more than a question, and it really goes to our superintendent was a little more politically polite than I'm going to be with regards to our state representatives. Governor Brown is offering to give the school districts more money while taking it back, specifically as it relates to the STIRS contributions. They're going to tell the schools, hey, yeah, we're going to give you more money, but when we do, we're also going to make you pay a little bit more for the teacher's retirement that we were paying previously. In other words, it's a shell game. They're making it look like we're going to get potentially extra money while knowing for a fact that we will face a budget hit of approximately 2% of every teacher's salary next year that we're going to have to contribute to their STIRS that the state used to contribute. So they're giving money and taking it back in the same hand. And there's no recognition from the state, there's no indication from the press what that is doing to local school districts. It's disgusting. It's frustrating. And it's words I'm going to not say here in polite company. I just want to remind folks that this is what we deal with when it comes to the state and their budgets and how they do things. And until the state of California changes how we pay school districts, it's something we're going to be dealing with for a very long time to come. I mean, if you saw the slide to pay attention to it, what it means, 5 years from now we'll have potentially $3 million less to spend if nothing changes. $3 million less to spend. So we have to keep that in mind when we're doing budgets, when we're making decisions and looking at 3-year plans that we're required to meet. in every spending decision that we make, not just teacher salaries, every salary, every book, every computer, every building, every dollar we spend. The decisions we sit down and make are, what does this mean 3 years from now? And I hope that people see and hear that and understand what it really comes down to with regards to the decisions that we sometimes have to make that aren't popular.
I would really like to extend off of what Trustee Nielsen said with one thing, which is the state of California. There are actually only 5 states in the union that spend less per student than California. And when you adjust them for the cost of living because it's so expensive to live here, I swear we have to be last in the country.
I'd also like to add that no one on this board is saying that the teachers don't deserve their pension. Nope. We now have to pay for mismanagement of STRS.
Yes.
No one went to jail, no one lost their job, but we have to pay for it. And it's coming off the backs of our students and our teachers who are working really hard. And that's very frustrating. We also need to keep in mind as we go out, they work so hard on finding grants. Grants are one-time money. So when you take a teacher out of a regular classroom position and you move them into something that's paid by a grant, when the grant goes away, they have to go back. So it's not ongoing money for positions or for raises. Just to keep that in mind. I would also start tonight to appeal to the public that we are going to need assistance if that Prop 30 initiative does get on the ballot. Last time it was on the ballot, we had quite a fight because a lot of people did not understand that this was not new money. This was money that we were already getting, and we were about to lose it, which would be disastrous to our budget then, disastrous to our budget now. And many people just closed their eyes and said, no, the schools are getting plenty of money. I keep voting for things. I'm not going to vote to raise my tax to give them more. It's not more. It's ongoing. And we're going to need the public's help to get that word out there because it was a fight last time. I'm done.
I just wanted to point one thing out, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Nicholas or Ms. Kaiser, but I believe that the one-time money that they're talking about giving us is money that they owe us from money they shorted us in years past. Is that not correct?
That is correct, but you also have to remember our district was so small that the claims that were filed at that point have already been repaid. So this one-time money is one-time money for this district because they've paid their debt to us. We have no more outstanding claims for this district. So it's just one time.
But during that era, what was happening was they were, what they owed for payroll, they were not giving. So they were allowing districts, like large urban districts, local, to borrow through an operation called Trans, their payroll at a low interest, and then meet their payroll. And they deferred the money down and kept kicking the can down the road. So what Alvina just said is accurate, but that was one of the mechanisms that education helped pay for the budget crisis.
Any other questions or comments? Very good. Thank you. Thanks for the presentation.
As Trustee Nielsen said, we can't say any more because it would be inappropriate.
Well, I assure you I'll be delivering this message along with a lot of other angry school board members at that legislative day in March. Item B, every 15 minutes program.
All right, good evening, board members. Dr. Nicholas. I want to share some details about a new program that we're adding this year to enhance the experience of some of our high schoolers. It's the Every 15 Minutes program. And it's named because based on national data, we know that every 15 minutes around the country, somebody dies in an alcohol-related accident. So it's a 2-day program that we're going to add for our juniors and seniors, which challenges them to think about their drinking, driving, personal safety, and the responsibility of making mature decisions and the impact that their decisions have on family, friends, the community, and many others. So traditionally, this is a program that's held in the springtime, right before prom. We have our first prom coming up this year. So ours is going to be hosted March 24th and 25th at the high school. So the objectives of the program are to really provide an experience for students, to remind them about the choices that they have to make involving alcohol and how many others are affected by those decisions. to create an awareness among students that they're not invincible, and to open the emotional doors so students experience firsthand how their actions affect the lives of many other people, and get them involved really in this experience so they see that firsthand. So it's a 2-day program. The first day, a Grim Reaper comes to the school, and the Grim Reaper pulls a pre-selected student from class every 15 minutes. So these students are ones that have chosen to represent the student body, all aspects of it, not just popular students, but students from all walks. They've been selected by a team of people at Mountain House High School to really get that cross-section. So the students start getting pulled out of class every 15 minutes. Students then convene at a staged crash scene. So that crash scene is going to be staged on the high school campus. We're working with the California Highway Patrol closely. They're going to supply some vehicles for us for that crash scene. One of the students is going to wind up going to the morgue. One of those students is going to wind up being arrested for the drunk driving and going to jail. And right. And death notifications are actually going to be delivered to the parents of the deceased. So it's something where we work closely with parents with as well. We're going to be working with our school resource deputy and other members of the law enforcement community to actually deliver those notifications to parents. And the whole thing is filmed. So there's a film crew that records the whole thing so that other students can see what these students are experiencing in day 2. The end of day 1, the participating students travel to a retreat. So we have a hotel here in Tracy that the students will go to. We provide food for them. They hear from a motivational speaker. And I want to point out to you that this is not all the students. This is the students that we've chosen to play the living dead at this point. So we're picking 24 students to pull out and go to the retreat. All the juniors and seniors participate in the other events, but it's just the living dead who go to the retreat that night. And part of that, listening to the motivational speaker, is they also write deceased letters to the ones who they've left behind that they're going to share the next day. So day 2, they come back. We have a student assembly, which is staged as a memorial service. The video of the experience of the students who went to the various locations is shared. Parents actually read letters that they've written to their dead children who were involved in the crash scene. First responders share their experiences, and it ends with a call to action for students to think responsibly about what they're doing and how those actions impact others. Some details about our student selection process. We have a team of class advisors, counselors, and administrators. We've selected actually 24 students. They've been chosen to represent a cross-section of the student body, and we're expecting them to be leaders, ambassadors of the program, and people are going to go out and spread that message. And also people whose parents are going to be involved in this and really help drive the program too, and work closely with us. It also involves close planning with several other organizations from the community. We have members from the high school, teachers working on the planning committee. We're working with a liaison officer from the California Highway Patrol. We're working with Joel Robinson, who's coordinating things with the San Joaquin Sheriff's Department, and also the Mountain House Fire Department, who's going to arrive on the scene and be able to break into the cars with the jaw of life. And additional participating organizations are going to be Mothers Against Driving, local EMS, Tracy Sutter Hospital, one of the students is going to wind up being taken there. The county morgue, one of our students is actually going to be taken there, as well as the county jail. So it involves lots of hands, lots of organization, and good partnerships going forward. We've secured a grant to cover most of the expenses of the program, and those costs go towards the materials and supplies necessary to implement the Every 15 Minutes program. And that could be anything from the makeup that goes on to the students who are playing the deceased, to various other supplies. We need to rent a sound system. We're going to have a videographer on scene to record it, the motivational speakers, hotel for the student retreat, and food for all the student participants. So we're looking forward to this event coming up in March as something that's going to hopefully benefit our students and be an experience that they're not going to let go of, and hopefully make some good decisions based on that.
Fabulous.
Sorry, could I ask that when you get the day scheduled, the schedule of time for the day, when the exterior events are going to be happening, the presentation, the crash scene, that kind of stuff, that we can get notified, because I'd really like to attend.
Definitely.
It's all usually in the morning. I was the coordinator for San Francisco Police. I ran 3 of these, and I did it in response to an incident that I responded to as a volunteer firefighter when 5 18-year-olds were in a car, and driver was drunk and killed 3 of the friends. It was horrific, and I went to this as kind of like a form of therapy. I attended at the local high school and just fell in love with the program. I can't speak highly enough about it. I'm very, very thankful that we're doing it, and I just ran into a student that attended this program when I coordinated it in 2004. I just ran into him a couple weeks ago, and he stopped me and said that he still remembered that program and how impactful it was. So it makes a difference. I know that for a fact. So I'm glad we're doing it.
If we only reach one high school student, it's well worth the money. If one student doesn't drive drunk and have an accident, we didn't have this program when I was in high school. Our vehicle, our example vehicle was a real one. Yeah. And it's a great program.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item C, drug interdiction dogs. Thanks for being here and for waiting so long.
No problem. I wanted to thank the board as well as Dr. Nicholas for giving me the opportunity to present tonight. I'm here tonight to talk about a proposal for a drug interdiction dog within the Lammersville district schools, specifically the high school at this point. Let me make sure I got this. So a little bit of background. A study conducted by the National Center of Addiction and Substance Abuse indicates that nearly 1 in 5 students drink, use drugs, or smoke during the school day. And with that, 60% of the teens surveyed in that study said that, or reported that drugs are used, kept, or sold at school on a daily basis. Okay. A little closer to home, drug use in our local schools. It's pretty common that school administration or staff members receive tips from students, and just as today, from parents indicating that marijuana and other drugs are present at Mountain House High School. So far this year, we've had 7 incidents where students have been found with marijuana at the high school. Okay, the consequences of those incidents were 6 citations by law enforcement, 7 student suspensions, and 1 expulsion. And this package right here was actually a package that we found, or that a student admitted to bringing to campus to give to another student. And that was just last week. And that was about 2.7 grams of marijuana. So once again, I was kind of proposing the idea of drug sniffing dogs on campus. How searches are conducted. We never want students to be directly searched by a dog. And so there would be no interactions with a dog and students in particular. Students would be directed to leave their belongings and exit class. At that point, a canine would be brought into the classroom to sniff backpacks, jackets, and other personal belongings. If the scent of drugs are detected, the item in question would be thoroughly searched by law enforcement, and canine may also be used to sniff for drugs in the school parking lot or in the locker rooms. So I also wanted to point out that the drug interdiction dog would not be brought to school by me on a daily basis. It would be solely at the request of school administration, okay, and that's based on need. And again, the dog would have no direct contact with students during searches, and Mountain House High School Safety Plan currently states that students are subject to random searches and that drug sniffing dogs may be utilized on campus. The goal of this proposal is mainly to bring for students to know that there may be a drug sniffing dog coming to campus any particular day, so mainly to serve as a deterrent. And it also helps identify students that may need intervention, and it also demonstrates that the district is taking action to ensure that schools are safe and drug-free in compliance with Educational Code 32261. Possible consequences, well, obviously parents will be notified, and so they're aware that, their kid may have a drug problem and that they're bringing drugs onto school grounds. There'd be possible suspension and or expulsions, and possible for a citation from law enforcement. The financial impact to Lammersville Unified School District is none. There's no additional costs. This is grant funded, and it comes from the same grant that the drug interdiction dog comes from, as well as, my position, the school resource deputy position, along with the patrol unit that we have. The courts have consistently ruled in favor of use of drug sniffing dogs on school campuses, citing the need for safe and drug-free campuses. And that is the conclusion of my proposal.
I remember a lengthy conversation about this when we were planning the high school, and having some experience with a program like this. I am all for it, and I'm glad to see it's coming forward.
Are the limitations that we're proposing fairly standard?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I envisioned exactly what you said wasn't going to happen. The dog's just sitting there on your shoulder right next to you as you're walking around campus all day, every day. That was
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because I'm like, go for it. I'm good with it. First of all, they're good deterrents. Second of all, they're fantastic opportunities for students to continue to interact with you as well. But the limits are fine with me. We can get a presentation, but I just was curious if that was standard, that they weren't always on school campuses.
The limits are identical to what I saw in Alameda County.
Okay. All right. That's it.
Okay.
I had a question.
Sure.
Someone brought up the fact that if the dogs aren't sniffing the students, all the students have to do is keep the drugs on their person and they won't be detected. And I suggested that as long as they can keep the scent of the drugs off of all of their belongings, that would be possible, I guess. My question is, if the scent is found on a jacket or a backpack or some other belonging, but no drugs are found there, how do you proceed in that case?
Well, generally, the standard of reasonable suspicion has been met. And with schools and school staff, that's the standard that they go by. And as an agent of the school district myself, I'm able to search based on reasonable suspicion. But more so than that, I always I'm always doing that in line with the vice principal at the high school. And so often he'll request that I search a student based on my expertise and training. And so to answer your question directly, that student would be brought into the offices, and we would talk to him about what, the indication that there was the scent of drugs in his or her belongings, and that we would need to search his person as well.
And that would extend to any vehicle they might have on campus as well, is that correct?
Yes. And when I said before that, because that's also posted that vehicles may be searchable because they're on school grounds. And then I said also that there could be drug sweeps with the dog within the parking lot, sniffing, vehicles, but the outside of vehicles, so to speak.
Thank you.
I almost hate to ask the question, but because I don't think there should be drugs on campus. But is there a different standard for students as for teachers? I don't know the answer to that question.
A different standard,
meaning the dog is in the room, right?
And it hits on a teacher's
backpack. I don't know if there is a difference. I don't know if there is a risk to the
Why don't you
district.
describe how the dog works? I think you could visualize it that way.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead and describe how. Okay, the kids walk out of the room.
Yeah. So more or less, how it's been explained to me and all the research I've done is teachers and students are told to leave the classroom, okay, and leave all their belongings. And so at that point, the drug would be brought in by. The dog would be brought in by its handler, and they would sniff all belongings within the classroom. So is it possible that it could identify a drug scent coming from a teacher's purse or briefcase? I guess the answer would be yes.
And while I'm not an attorney, Colin, I can let you know that as a part of my current studies, as soon as the dog hits, no matter what it is, he's allowed to search whatever the dog hits on.
He said it, reasonable suspicion.
It doesn't matter what it is. If the dog hits on anything, including cars in the parking lot, if it's a teacher's car in the parking lot, the dog hits on the car. That's all he needs. And I would also point out that technically, the administration doesn't need the same heightened level to search that the officer does. I think they're just raising the standard for practical purposes.
Okay,
more than
my
that.
my question was, the same standard exists for teachers as for students. They're not protected, or whatever. Okay.
No, I mean, it's a criminal violation, so could be a criminal case, and then administrative.
We have every right to bring the dog onto the campus.
Then I'm all for it.
I definitely think this program will help maintain a safe campus for the future of Mountain House High School.
Thank you for speaking up, Samantha.
We used to this in my previous school, even at middle schools, believe me, even middle school kids, even though we think 6th, 7th, 8th graders don't do anything, but when the dogs come, we find all sorts of things. I mean, it's like amazing to see, really, they bring this kind of stuff, but they do. But usually, it's never a case where the dog handler and the dog will go into a classroom by themselves. An administrator or a security person or SRD, somebody from the school site always accompanies that person, so that nobody can say this person did something in our absence or took something from our backpack in our absence or whatever. So we make sure of that somebody from the school site is accompanying the handler and the dog at all times.
Great. Thank you. Great program. I'm glad to see, I especially like that it's grant funded. That's great.
Yeah.
So, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Calendar, any questions? Our next regular board meeting is on February 3rd. And at this time, we'll be adjourning to closed session. We have a few items to discuss. Public employee discipline, dismissal, release, complaint. Item B, public employee appointment, employment, evaluation of superintendent. Item C, conference with labor negotiators. And item D, pupil personnel, in line with education codes 35146 and 48918. Conference with legal counsel, government code section 54956.9. And conference with real property negotiators.
I move we adjourn to closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're now in closed session. Thank you, everyone, for your patience.